So here we are again. The wheel has turned yet again. And tomorrow morning at 5:02 a.m. in the northern hemisphere anyway, the winter solstice will arrive, marking the shortest day and the longest night of the year. As the winter solstice approaches in the north, we're going to notice some changes. The days will be shorter, there'll be less light, and the darkness is longer. The weather is cold, the trees are bare, and the snow is often on the ground. That's the situation now. Many of us are waking up in the morning and it's still dark, and then we're having dinner and it's already dark. I don't know about you, but when it's dark at 4:30 in the afternoon, it's a bit disconcerting to me. The Celtic scholar John Matthews writes this about winter solstice. He says, the solstice is a time of quietude, of firelight and dreaming, when seeds germinate in the cold earth and the cold notes of church bells mingle with the chime of icicles. Rivers are stilled and the land lies waiting beneath a coverlet of snow. We watch the cold sunlight and the bright stars, maybe go for walks in the quiet land. All around us as the season seems to reach a standstill, a point of repose. The word repose that Matthews uses there simply means to lie down, to rest. The world is at rest during this solstice. But for many of us, that's not easy. There's a tendency to want to hurry from autumn to spring. I wouldn't mind that because I'm not crazy about the winter. And we want to avoid those long, dark days that winter brings. We don't like the constant days of less light and months filled with these cold temperatures. We're struggling with the bleakness of the land. People have struggled with that for a long time. You know, we have that hymn, that carol in our hymnal that says, in the bleak midwinter, icy winds, came, and the birds even sat like iron. It was so cold and bleak. Our eyes and our hearts would prefer to see color rather than the gray that we see right now. But winter darkness has a positive side to it. We celebrate the first turn from winter to spring. We're invited to recognize and honor the beauty in the unwanted season of winter. The solstice celebrates the return of hope and light as we experience the first slow turn toward the greater daylight. Even though it happens slowly, and too slowly sometimes, it seems, we welcome the return of the sun and the coming of the springtime. And this is the natural flow of things in the universe that's represented by the Yin-Yang symbol in Taoist philosophy. You know the symbol, I think, right? You've seen it and you've seen it elsewhere. And we get to see that outside of ourselves, but we often miss it inside ourselves as well. According to Chinese philosophy and medicine and culture, we are now in the yin time of the year. This is a concept of dualism where opposite and seemingly contrary forces are competing, but in actuality, they're complementary. They're interconnected and interdependent in the world. Yin is the dark part of the figure, and yang is the light part. And though they're separate, they can exist without each other. They provide context for working with opposing forces. Without dark, there's no concept of light. Without cold, there's no concept of heat. Without stillness, there is no concept of movement. All of those things. As you can see, there's a little circle of yang inside the yin, and vice versa, a little yin inside the yang. And that implies that nothing is completely yin or completely yang. And each aspect contains the beginning point for the other aspect, where neither one is absolute. And so the winter solstice exemplifies this philosophy for us. And tomorrow morning, as I said, at 5:02 a.m. on December 21st, yin will be at its peak. But believe it or not, even though it's going to be the longest day, ever so slightly right after that, it starts to change. The solstice brings forth this yin transition to yang. And in this exact moment of transition, some people believe there's a mysterious blending of the yin and the yang that opens the possibility for new creation and new ideas and new possibility. And humans have always fought to stave off or at least survive the darkness, right? The dark times of the year. So what did we do? We created celebrations and rituals to help us do that. Our ancestors, for example, built bonfires on the night of the solstice to welcome the return of the light, to fight off the darkness. The tradition of burning the Yule log is a solstice celebration. So is the bringing in of holly and ivy and fir trees into the house. All of those are now associated, of course, with Christmas and Christianity in some way. But we can thank our pagan ancestors for those traditions. But our culture today, modern culture, seems to have gone even further. The tendency has been towards having yang activities during a yin period. We have bright, expressive, fast-paced festivals and rituals that we observe. We have loud holiday parties. We hang bright, blinking, multicolored lights everywhere. We decorate our house, the outside of our houses too, with sometimes to the point where they can be seen from outer space. Believe it or not, the astronauts on the space station can actually see some of these houses. There are so many lights. And if you've ever seen Animal House Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, you know exactly what I mean. And we rush around these brightly lit stores and decorated stores and malls in a normal year, frantically looking for that perfect gift or that last minute gift for family and friends. We fight holiday traffic. We eat too much. We drink too much, all in the name of holiday spirit, when in reality, it's all just an unconscious way of fighting off the darkness. The yin-yang reminds us that we are a part of nature. And as a result, the seasonal changes affect us. If we're mindful, excuse me, those seasonal changes bring reminders of how to remain integrated in this wholeness. The winter solstice is the time of utmost yin. And yin is about darkness and night, winter cold, interior, and the directions of going down and deep into ourselves. And even though there's also that yang that exists within the yin, seeds of yang begin to grow. And the days incrementally grow a little longer. As much as I don't like the wintertime encourages us to become more yin, to rest, to digest things mentally and physically, to consolidate and reflect. And it's appropriate, it's important that we try to remain in tune with nature. After those warm seasons that are so full of activity, now's the time we're supposed to be slowing down and honor that and quiet down, to reflect inwardly and to conserve our energy so that we can be replenished when the spring returns. Just as the leaves fall off the trees and the roots store those essential nutrients needed for regrowth in the spring, we can use this period to shed some unwanted habits that we have, maybe. Getting rid of things that don't serve us anymore, while cultivating the positive and healthy habits that we need to have. A lot of people wait until January 1st to do that. But I think December 21st is a good day, the 20th or the 21st, whenever the solstice happens to fall. It's a good time to reflect on that. This year, it feels like we've been living in a constant state of yin all year. It's been dark times. We've been asked to remain indoors. We've been asked to limit our personal contact with people, even family members. We've even been asked not to gather together for the holidays, the time of year when we feel really acutely aware of the need for light and love and the warmth of family and friends. But I think that entering into the season of winter solstice this year, entering into the yin during a pandemic, it could be an opportunity for us to really connect with the lessons of the darkness. I mean, we can't go anywhere, really. We can't do much. It's a good time to actually slow down as much as possible and realize the gift of being in tune with the rhythms of nature and of our own body. Think of just how calm it seems, for example, after a fresh snowfall, at least until the snowplows and the blowers all start. You look out your window and everything is quiet. And there's a scientific reason for that. It's because snow is porous and it absorbs sound, but it's very peaceful. Some of you may have been in the countryside after a snowfall and know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is nature giving us a clue to relax and maybe sit in silence for a while and to rest. It's odd how our fur-bearing friends are much smarter than us, and they know what to do. Like the bears, they hibernate, although they are having some problems now with that because of global warming. They're even being confused by that. Well, I know that personally, that's what I intend to do. I'm not going to hibernate, really, although it's tempting, but I am going to slow down. I find that I'm sleeping a little longer these days, and that's a start. And I know now, especially now, that some dietary changes are in order. Our lives are always in the cycle of yin and yang, and whether we're aware of it or not. Sometimes that cycle happens more rapidly or more slowly than we'd like, right? How often do we say to people, when is this going to end? Or why did that have to end so soon? Perhaps also this time we can also take heart, knowing that in our nation's long period of yin that we've been in, yang is coming. Like the solstice, when the days will gradually get longer and brighter days happen, brighter days are coming. Slowly, but surely they're coming. And so, as we continue on in this season of light, as the solstice is upon us, our work now is to allow ourselves to receive the lessons that yin, the darkness, teaches us as we wait patiently for the yang of the light to fully arrive. May it be so.
If you like this channel, please be sure to click on like us, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video.